Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Chitas on this wonderful, wonderful Wednesday, the 20th of Av, very special day in the Lubavitch calendar. Welcome, Moshe and Karen. Oh, a minute. Welcome, everyone that is coming on. Hello, hello, hello. Good morning. Okay, let's get started. We're continuing with the narration of Moshe. He's talking about the trials and tribulations of the Jewish people in the desert, how they were an Am Kshe Oyref, and he's holding at he destroyed the first tablets, the first luchais, and now he went back up onto the mountain for another 40 days and another 40 nights. Okay, Be'esahi Amar Hashem Eli. At that time, Hashem said to me, hew for yourself 2 stone tablets like the first ones. And come up to me onto the mountain and make for yourself a wooden ark. What's the wooden ark over here? At the end of the 40 days, let's look at this Rashi. I think it's important about the wooden ark. So at the end of the 40 days, which was the first of Elul, Hashem was reconciled with Moshe and said to Moshe, hew for yourself 2 tablets. And afterwards, Hashem said, make for yourself a wooden ark at the end of the verse, at the end of the pasuk. However, if you're going to look ahead into pasuk number 3, right below, you can even see it in the screen, you'll see that Moshe first makes an ark. I, however, see verse number 3, made the ark first, and then afterwards he makes the luchos, because I considered that when I would come with the tablets in my hand, where would I put them? So Moshe was thinking he needed an ark first. So what is this ark? This was not the ark that Betzalel made, because the Israelites did not occupy themselves with the Mishkan until after Yom Kippur, and this is only in the month of Elul, which was 40 days later, right? Yom Kippur is 40 days later than Rosh Chodesh Elul, on the first day of Elul. And this is on the first day of Elul. So they hadn't even started occupying themselves with building of the Mishkan. So it couldn't have been the ark that Betzalel made. For when Moshe descended and mounted, he commanded them regarding the construction of the Mishkan. So this is before that. Then Betzalel made the Mishkan first, and then only afterwards the ark and the other furnishings were made. It follows, therefore, that this was another ark. Good morning. It follows, therefore, that this was another ark, and that was the one that went out with them to battle, the one that Moshe made. But the one Betzalel made did not go out to battle except in the days of Eli, and they were punished for it. And that ark was captured by the Philistines. So there was 2 arks, one that Moshe made to house the second luchais, and later on, another ark was made by Betzalel when he was building the Mishkan. Okay, let's continue the narration. And I shall inscribe on the luchais the words that were on the first luchais, which you shattered, and you shall place them into the ark. And now Moshe is saying that was what Hashem commanded, and now Moshe is saying, and this is what I did. So I made an ark of acacia wood. The Epsel and I hewed 2 stone tablets like the first one. So Moshe did it, not Hashem. And I sent in the mountain with the 2 tablets in my hand. and I inscribed on the tablets, like the first tablets, the 10 utterances, the 10 commandments, which the Lord has spoken to you on the mountain. I inscribed the 10 commandments which the Lord had spoken to you on the mountain from the midst of a fire on the day of the assembly. The Lord gave them to me. The Ephon be'ered min ha'har, and I turned and I came down the mountain. V'asim haluchas ba'aron, and I put the luchas into the aron, into the ark. Asher asisi, that I made. Vayihisham kasher tzivani Hashem, and they were there as the Lord had commanded me. Uvnei Yisrael nasu mi be'eros bnei Yaakon meisera sham. The bnei, meisera sham meis Aharon. The children of Israel journeyed from the wells of bnei Yaakon to Meisera, and there Aaron passed away. Vayikbar sham, and he was buried there. Vayechahin Eliezer bnei tachtav, and Eliezer his son was anointed and served as the kohen in his stead, in Aaron's stead. Now, it's very problematic, I believe. Rashi's right away going to start talking about it. What does it mean? Uvnei Yisrael nasu mibe'eros bnei Yaakon meisera. That the children of Israel, they journeyed from the wells of bnei Yaakon to Meisera. This seems out of place. What is the relevance? Let's look at Rashi. What is the relevance of this here? Furthermore, did they really journey from the wells of Bnei Yaakon to Meisera? It wasn't not from Meisera that they came to the wells of Bnei Yaakon. It seems like it was the opposite. As you see in the pasuk, and they journeyed from Meisera and they encamped in Bnei Yaakon. And then it gets even more confusing. Moreover, why does it say there Aaron died? Did he not die at Mount Hor? Aaron passed away on Mount Hor. So what is going on here? If you calculate it, you will find 8 stations from Meisera to Mount Hor. So it's 8 stations off, to say that it's 8 stops off of when Aaron actually passed away. So here is what Rashi, a novel explanation that Rashi explains. However, the answer is that this is also part of the reproof. He uses the word reproof, but I would use like reprimand. Like it's part of Moshe talking about what the Jewish people did wrong. In effect, Moshe was said, this also you did when Aaron died on Mount Hor at the end of the 40 years. And consequently, the clouds of divine glory departed. You were afraid of the impending war with the king of Arad. So you appointed a leader to return to Egypt, and you went back 8 stations until Bnei Yaakon. So yes, actually, both are right. They traveled one direction from Mesorah to Bnei Yaakon, but then they went back, or the opposite. And you went back 8 stations in Bnei Yaakon, from there to Mesorah. There, the sons of Levi battled with you. They slew some of you. There was like an internal civil war. A little bit, right? Because some of the Yidden decided they wanted to go back, and they slew some of you and used some of them. It was a terrible battle until they forced you to return by the way you return by the way you had retreated. From there you returned to Gud Goda, which is Hor Hagadgad. So that was the story. So the reason why he's bringing up this city is because this journey was directly related to the passing of Aaron. Because when Aaron passed, the Jewish people, or at least part of the Jewish people, went backwards. So now let's continue the pasuk. Misham, from there, Nasu HaGudgoida, you journeyed to Gudgoida, min HaGudgoida, Yatavsa, Eretz Nachli Mayim, and from Gudgoida you went to Yatavsa, a land with streams of water. So from Gudgoida to Yutavath, and at Mesorah you made a great mourning for the death of Aaron, which was the cause of this entire retreat, because the Jewish people lost the Anani HaKavod, they lost the clouds of glory, and therefore they went the wrong direction, and therefore they decided to maybe return back to Egypt, some of them. So it seemed to you as though he had died there, because that's where a terrible thing happened because of Aaron's passing. So Moshe juxtaposed this reproof with the breaking of the tablets to indicate that the death of the righteous is as grievous to the Holy One, blessed be, as the day the tablets were broken. And to inform you that when they said, let us appoint a leader and return to Egypt and divorce ourselves from Moses, was as grievous for him as was the day to which they made the golden calf. So we're saying all these things to show that they are equally as terrible to Hashem's eyes, whether it's the golden calf, the Jewish people saying that they're not going to follow Moshe anymore and return back to Egypt, the passing of Aaron, and the breaking of the tablets. These were all tragedies that happened to the Jewish people as they left Egypt and on their way to the land of Israel. At that time, Hivdil Hashem es Shevet Levi, Hashem separated the tribe of Levi, Hashem, to bear the ark of the covenant of Hashem, to stand before Hashem, to serve him and to bless his name to this day. The Levites have an incredible responsibility. They're separated in a way from the rest of the Jewish people. They have different laws specifically for them, and they're dependent on the Jewish people for their sustenance. And as they didn't even get a portion of the land, as we will say in the next pasuk. Okay, let's look at that time. What does it mean at that time Hashem separated? At that time, Hashem separated the tribe of Levi. When is that time? During the first year of your departure from Egypt, when you erred by making the calf. And the sons of Levi did not thus err. The omnipresent God separated them from you. This verse is juxtaposed to the retreat to Bnei Yaakov to tell you that also in this matter, the sons of Levi did not err, but rather remained steadfast in their faith. So the sons of Levi also, they seem to have not made any of the mistakes that the Jewish people make. They didn't get involved in the golden calf. They weren't retreating back to Egypt and saying that they're not going to follow Moshe. So therefore, that is what Hashem decided to separate them and say that they will be responsible for the ark of the covenant of Hashem. Okay, let's go to pasuk number 9. Therefore, Levi has no portion or inheritance with his brothers. Hashem hu nachalasai. The Lord is his inheritance. This is Hashem hu nachalasai. That is a powerful thing that the Kohanim and the Leviim, Hashem is their inheritance. They don't have a piece of the land, but they have a special duty to Hashem. Kashar dibra Hashem Elohecha loi, as Hashem your God spoke to him. Why? What does it mean? Therefore, Levi has no portion, since they were separated from the service of the altar, and therefore they were not free to plow and sow. V'anechi amadti bahar ki yom harishonim 40 yom 40 layim vayishma Hashem Elai gam b'pam hahi lo'ava aninai hishchisecha. And I remained on the mountain like the first 40 days and nights. First 40 days and 40 nights, and the Lord hearkened to me also at that time. The Lord did not wish to destroy you. Let's go to the last pasuk. Vayemer Hashem Elai kum lech lamasa lefnei ha'am. And the Lord said to me, arise, go to lead the travels before the peoples, vayavai vayirshu es haaretz, so that they may come and possess the land, asher nishpati la veisam lases lahem, that I promised their forefathers to give them. Although, let's look at this last one. Although you, Israel, had turned away from following him and you had erred with the golden calf, he nevertheless said to me, go lead the Jewish people into the land of Israel. Okay, let's go. We're continuing in Igeres HaKodesh, in the chapter number 5. And we're talking about Chesed, I believe, how we ended off, how Hibaram can also be from either from the letter Hey, Hibaram, or it can also be from Avraham, like Chesed. Adam la'avida. After the creation of man, to work it, right? That is the entire purpose of man, to work this world, to transform this world, to bring down the divine energy by means of an arousal from below, from here. Azai called Isirusa de la Ela la'oyer midas chesed ha'elyon who be Sirusa de la Sata. Now, originally the creation of world was a top-down thing from God, of chesed, of kindness. God created the world with kindness, and it was a top-down. There was no humans to even affect God's decisions. But now, in order to bring down the arousal of chesed, we need to have a channeling, an isarusa de la sata. We need to have an arousal from below in order to channel, in order to arouse the attribute of chesed from above. Through the acts of charity and kindness that the Jews perform in this world. Let's look at this note. Thus, these good deeds draw down divine influence from the Yud of the divine name, from the level of Chachma to the final Hey in the name, the level of Malchut, right? Yud, Hey, Vav, Hey. So we have to channel down, draw down from the Yud to the Hey. In this way, then, good deeds bring together and make the name of God and draw it downward in its entirety. Therefore, that is why our sages of Blessed Mary's memory said, Kala Eimer, Ein Lei Ela Torah, B'lim Gemilas Chasadim, Afilu Torah Ein Lei. Very important. Whoever says, I have nothing but Torah, I have no good deeds, all I have is Torah, then even Torah he doesn't have. Because you can't just have Torah. That misses the point. Rather, one ought to engage in Torah and in Gemilas Chasadim, in the performance of actions of good, of loving kindness. For though the Torah derives from Chachma Ubaraisa, Miskayim Alma Beinin the Alma the La'anba, and the world subsists by virtue of the Torah. So it seems like Torah seems to be the most powerful thing. Kibidiburam mamshichan ha'areis v'hashpais chachma ilah, because through that you bring down the supreme chachma, makar haTorah, the source of the Torah. To the letters of speech with which the world was created. So we see Torah definitely has a powerful force to it. The fact that it's connected to the Chachma Ilah. Excuse me. Like the sages said, Al tikra b'noyach ela boynoyach. Do not read the verse boynoyach, which literally means your children, but rather boynoyach, not banayach, boynoyach. But not boynoyach means your builders, for they build the world through their Torah study. So Torah study definitely has its amazing purpose. This law of Chachma to the letters of speech is a great descent. To accomplish this is necessary to arouse the supernal chesed, the chesed ha'elyon, which, like water, is drawn down from a high place to a low place. By means of an arousal from below through acts of kindness and charity. Whereby one diffuses life and kindness to revive the spirit and the humble and the downcast. By doing so, one draws down supernal kindness, so that the vitality of Chachma descends to the letters of speech, the source of all creation. So in order to get the Chachma to go from the higher level, from the Yud, all the way down to the Hey, all the way down to Malchus, in order to do that, you need the Chesed of Tata. You need the Chesed down here to be able to draw that down. And this is what the meaning of the verse is. Al yishalo chachma b'chachmasai ki im bezois yishalo ki ani Hashem oiseh chesed. Let not the wise man glow in his wisdom, but in this let him glory in understanding and knowing me. For I am God who acts with kindness. We thus see that wisdom is justifiably glorified when it leads to an act of kindness, which in turn invokes a reciprocal act of kindness from above. So just having Chachma, just having Torah, doesn't get us anywhere. We must have that to come down into kindness, into chesed, into tzedakah, into charity, in order to bring down that from on high. Ki chesed hu hamamshech chaya chachma lamata. Because chesed, that is what causes the chachma to come downwards. V'im lav, hari nikra chachmasei levadei. If not, it stays in the realm of his chachma, his wisdom. It remains in heaven as an untapped resource in which that wise man cannot glory. And there is no downward flow of life from it, God forbid, if you don't pair chachma together with chesed. Rizal, now you can understand what that Rizal said. That there are two kinds of souls among the Yidden. Nishmas Talmidei Chacham ha'oskim b'Torah kol yamecha. Torah souls of Torah scholars who engage in Torah study their entire life. V'nishmas balei mitzvah ha'oskim b'tzedakah u'gemilas chasadim. And the souls of those who perform the commandments and do mitzvahs and charitable and kindly deeds. Seemingly, even Torah scholars, this Arizal seems to be perplexing. Seemingly, how could it say that there are two types of neshamas, one of Torah scholars and one of Gemilas Chasadim? It seems like Torah scholars also need Gemilas Chasadim. Because like we just said, if you just have Torah without Gemilas Chasadim, without acts of kindness, then afilu Torah ein lo, then you don't even have Torah. How then could the Arizal have stated that people with a certain kind of soul invest their lives exclusively in Torah study? The Alter Rebbe's answer, which follows, takes it for granted that even full-time Torah scholars, of course, spend some of their time in doing good deeds. You must have it. There's no other way. Otherwise, we would not call them Torah Talmidei Chachamim. We would not call them Torah scholars if they only had Torah. Elasha Talmidei Chachamim sheterasan ikar v'roiv yemeim ba u'miyat yemeim begemilas chasadim hine pulas isrusa delasata la'er chesed elyon. Even Torah scholars whose Torah study is their primary occupation, with only a minor part of their time spent on the performance of good deeds, the effect of their arousal from below to arouse the chesed lahamshech or lahirid arin safe have a lebush b'chachmas ilai makar teres Hashem b'fiem hurak la'olam hanishmas habebriya ideas katambu. They are only able to bring down Torah light until the olam habriya, through their study of the Talmud. They cannot go past that. The study of Gemara, and as much as it involves reasoning and intellectual give and take, corresponds to the world of Bria, the realm of comprehension. Ula malachim should be Yetzira ayidei liman Mishnah, and extends to the angels that are in the world of Yetzira through their learning of the Mishnah. But the only way, because we're going to see, how do we get to go all the way? Let's see. Yan, hayos chayis haneshamis v'hamlachim, Nishmai mitzirufim oisies hadibur he Torah shabal peh umakra oisies hu mechachma ilah kiniskar le'el. For the animation of souls and angels derives from the combination of the letters of speech from the oral Torah, as written in Petach Eliyahu. The Sephira of Malchus corresponds to the mouth, which we call the oral Torah. The source of the letters, however, is in the supernal Chachma. So through the study of oral Torah, scholars are able to draw down the Chachma from on high into the combination of the letters of speech, and this gives vitality to the souls and the angels. But however, how do we bring it into the lower? Hey, this only brings us to the. Remember, we're in the world of Asiya, action. Ach lahamshech lahayrid ha'ara v'achayes b'chinas hevel ha'elyon Hashem ha'tata la'olam hazeh ha'shafel. However, in order to call forth and bring downward an illumination and vitality from the level of the supreme breath, the lower level, to this lowly world, which is a great contraction. This is not the arousal from below by the Torah scholars, who are only a small part of their time engaging in Gemilas Chasadim, is not sufficient to do that. It's not going to work. That only brings it only to possibly the level of Berea, the world of Berea. How does this come down further? Ella al yedei isarusa de bale mitzvah ha'iskim reivia meyem b'tzedakah gemilas chasadim. This effect is only possible only through an arousal by those who perform the commandments, who are occupied with deeds of charity and kindness for the majority part of their life. So those who spend most of their time in studying of Torah and only minimal time in acts of goodness and kindness, yes, they have a strong purpose. Yes, they are accomplishing a lot, but they are not able to bring it down fully. That is only done through the lay people, through people who are occupying themselves their majority of the time for goodness, for doing goodness and kindness. This is how we bring the light, the or down. That is why people who are mainly occupied with such mitzvahs are called the supporters of the Torah itself, because the Torah can't accomplish it just by Torah. So they are the supporters of the Torah themselves, not only of those who study the Torah, for by their activities they draw down the light of the Torah from its root and source, that it will illuminate this physical world below. It will never be able to make it down here without the people whose sole focus is mitzvahs and good deeds. These people represent the levels of Netzach and Hod. I mean, I think that's like a whole discussion onto itself. Because they cause the light of the Torah to come down to the world of Asiya, like I mentioned, to the world of action. And this is why charity is referred to as a maisa, an action. The act of charity will be peace. This is because maisa asiya, right? Those are the same words. Because tzedakah, that's what brings down the light of Hashem to asiya, to the world of asiya. That's why it's called a maisa, an action, an act. V'zeu diktuk lashon zohar kadosh man the Ovid Shma Kadisha, the Ovid Davke. This is the meaning of the phrase in the Zohar that says, he who makes the holy name, who makes. Because by the arousal from below through charity and chesed, one arouses the chesed ha'elyon, the supernal chesed, lahamshech Ein Sof b'chinas chachma la yud shel shem, to bring down the Ein Sof light all the way from the yud of the divine name, lahei shel shem, to the hey of the divine name, b'chinas hadibur v'ruach pibius barak te lashpia la'olam asiyah, in order to draw it down to the world of asiyah. Al derech mashal havdalos in kates, as an analogy, though infinitely uncomparable, like a human being speaks only to others, and not when he is alone. And then when speaking to them, he contracts his intellect and thought. And the intelligent will understand. Whoa. The mashal at the end is thoughts are thoughts, but only when you speak it, that's when you are able to bring it down to others. And when we do mitzvot, if we're just focused on Torah study alone, like we said before, then afilu Torah ein lo, then you don't even have the Torah. And even actually, what's even more surprising is how the Alter Rebbe explains how even if your Torah is your main primary focus, and you only have a little bit of mitzvot, you're not going to be able to bring down the or past the world of Bria. You will not be able to bring it down into this world of Asiyah. For that, your primary thing must be kindness, goodness, and tzedakah. It was a pleasure learning with you today. The Daily Tehillim is chapters 97 to 103. I look forward to learning with you tomorrow. Sorry. You just texted this right now. You're very welcome. I thought you had a question, but thank you so much. It's my pleasure. It's my pleasure as always to learn with you guys.